Hi everybody, and welcome back to our little corner of the world here at Marcos Paper. We should be up in Novi this weekend for the third day of the rescheduled Mega Meet, but this is pandemic 2020 and nothing seems to happen quite as we planned it. So we are still back here and you are wherever you are, and we have a project for you today. We called it October Surprise because at the time I had to get a title in, I had no idea what we were going to do. And then I found out just a few minutes ago what the surprise is, so you'll get that out of Chris here in a few minutes. We do have specials for you. We've got some other fun stuff that we will talk about as well. And frankly, I've forgotten what else I was going to say, so we're just going to go ahead and get started with the project, and then I'll figure it all out while Chris is showing you some neat stuff that she has for you today. So Chris, you go ahead and take it away.
Okay, now the surprise is, those of you who have tuned in before to the volume meets, I have demoed alcohol inks. Surprise, I'm not doing that today. But if you are still interested in alcohol inks, send us a comment and I can add that to the next one if you're still interested. But today I'm going to be making this card, a fall card, and we're going to use a wobble and some stencils and some oxide inks. So we're going to get started. I have just attached a 3 3/4 by 5 inch piece of our White Cougar 80-pound cardstock, just with removable adhesive, and I just have a little bit of painter's tape on my stencil just so I can flip it back and forth just to make sure I have some good coverage. But before we use the stencil, we are going to make our background. I'm starting with Spice Marmalade first. And with this technique, you don't have to totally cover your cardstock. It gives it a little dimension to have just a bit of the little bit of white peeking through. So then I'm going to add our new, well, Tim Holtz new color, the Crackling Campfire. And I'll go back, splin that a little. Not as important with this technique. Then I'm going to add some seedless preserves, kind of at the corners. Go back and do a little blending. And you can add your color if you want a little bit more orange. Go ahead and add that. Really, whatever you'd like. Okay, so I'm happy with that background. I'm going to flip my stencil, and now I'm going to use Vintage Photo and just go right over the top. Now this leaf stencil does have some detailed design to it, and it did kind of catch on my blending tool. I just took my scissors and clipped off those little pieces because I got tired of it catching. So you can kind of bring that back, see if you want it a little darker. I'm just going to do a little bit more there. Okay, so that's our first layer of stenciling. Okay. I'm going to clean this off. Now, if I was at home, I could just run it under, the faucet. I'm going to just use a baby wipe. And let's see, lift this up so you can see what I'm doing. And I found that if I just lay that right on top, it picks up most of it. And I just dry it off. A little bit on the back, because oxide inks do react with water. You don't want any water on your stencil at this point. So I use my stencil in this direction. Now I'm just going to turn it. You can turn it any way you want. I just don't want to line it up. So this is a good way to use stencils that don't have a repeat pattern, because you don't have to worry about it. So now I'm going to use my campfire crackling campfire over that background. And again, you can check to see how dark your pattern is, but you'll be able to see the brown, and then you also see the campfire peeking through. So it's a neat background effect. Now, if you want, you can layer over spice marmalade or the seedless preserves, but I think I'm just going to stop at the 2 colors. I'm just going to spray to clean up my mat. Okay, the stamp set I'm using today is My Favorite Things, and Greg will show you that at the end. And it's one of their Pure Innocent girls called Jumping with Joy. And she does not have bangs. She has quite a forehead on her. So I like to take a Copic friendly marker or something that's not going to bleed, and I just add a little bit of a swooping bang just to give her a nicer look, I think. So I have her stamped in our white. Then Memory Box has some great new Christmas 6x6 pads, and Greg will be showing you those as well. So I stamped her once in the dot, once in a stripe pattern, and then we're going to paper piece her clothing. So I've already done the hat and the little brim on the hat. I have her body in gray, and I'm going to go ahead and just adhere one of her boots just so you see how I did that. And this Nuvo Deluxe adhesive is one of our favorites here at the store. We can barely keep it in stock. So that gives you an idea how we're going to paper piece her clothing there. And then I cut her sweater and scarf out of the dots. So her final is going to look like that. So to finish off my card, Memory Box again has some really nice glitter cardstocks. So I'm using a lighter purple for my card front, and I will attach the stencil piece. I just have some double-sided adhesive. I'm going to turn this around. Our little girl that I paper pieced, we're going to use a wobble, and here are our mini, well, not our, but mini wobble springs. And there's 2 different sizes. There's a base, which is the larger, and then there's a thinner piece on top. You take off the backing, the thinner piece goes on your item that you want to wobble, and then lately I've been using the tips of my scissors to get this backing off, and it seems to be working really well. So get that backing off. It works better at home, of course. So I'm going to attach her right to the front. And then the sentiment I'm using is this Bold Thanks die set from Altenew, and it's a 2-step die. So we have the thanks, which I cut out of our gray Kaleido, and then we have the separate letters that I cut out again with that glitter cardstock, and I adhered that with the Nuvo glue. And this time, since I can get a fine dot out of the Nuvo, I just did a couple dots on my gray and attached things right to it. And you do have a few seconds to move it around and get it exactly where you'd like it, but it does dry quickly. That's one of the pluses. So there's our things. I did use some 3D foam squares. And again, we'll see if my scissors help me out. Take the backing off. And adhere that right to the bottom. Also, I didn't mention, with that same stamp, you do get 3 different leaves. So I did stamp and then use the die provided, which is this one. So I stamped them twice, cut them out, colored them, and then did raise them with foam squares around her. Now I also did a slimline card. I am into slimlines as well. And just to show you, you can use that same stencil even though the stencil is not made for a slimline card. This technique really doesn't matter, so you can just arrange it however you want. Same technique, same colors in a slimline card. And I believe Greg has those slimline dies for you that you can see in just a bit. Oh, one more thing, I guess it's a little surprise. If you think this girl's a little too cutesy, I did make one for the coffee lovers, and Greg had mentioned you don't have to stir your coffee because it wobbles, and that'll do the trick. So with this stamp set, Pink and Main, it does come with a few sentiments, and so I just stamped a latte on a little strip and added that underneath our thanks sentiment.
Outstanding. Thanks, Chris. This is great. I want to show you the items that she was using for that, so I'll bring that over here. She used the memory box papers. You'll find all of this stuff on our website. If you go to our homepage, on the left-hand side, you'll see a column of categories, and there will be one that has volume in it, so you'll know. And these are some of the dies that she used, and the wobbles. All of this stuff is 20% off through the time of the sale. I can't remember how long we ran it. I know it was at least a week, and I think it was a little bit longer. She also mentioned the thin line cards, and we did those last time. And thin line cards have become really, really popular. So we have now thin line cardstock and envelopes. We have dies for a lot of the thin lines as well. So you'll find those again in the accessories under thin lines for pre-folded cards and such. So there will be ways to find that. You can also just put thin line in the search box on our homepage, and you will find those as well. Now, I know some people are looking for our specials as well, so I need to walk across the walk here a little bit. There are specials here. All of our cardstocks are 20% off through the terms of the sale. All of the distress inks, distress oxides, the spray stains, the oxide sprays. If you get 12 or more, you can mix and match. They're 20% off. Also, the new Crackling Campfire and Speckled Egg, those are the new colors for this year. If you get all 8 of the pieces, there's a 9th one for the enamel collector pin as well. But if you haven't picked up on those yet, those are 20% off if you get the set. So those are all some of the specials that we're having now. And like I said, all of the things that Chris is using in her demo are 20% off as well. You'll probably also find some special things that we haven't talked about yet that we will put on our sale page there. If you find the volume tab on our home page there on the left-hand side, you'll find more. Also, I would like to remind those of you, because I know not everybody who's watching this is in Michigan. Some of you are a little farther south. We are going to be doing a show next weekend. That'll be the 17th and 18th. We'll be in Sevierville, Tennessee. So if you happen to be down that way or want to do a little traveling, we'll be at the Sevierville Convention Center on Saturday and Sunday doing a show. First time I will have been out of town overnight in 8 months, and I have been going through withdrawal. So we're really looking forward to that and hope that you'll come out to see us. Hope that you will enjoy the rest of the demos and videos through the volume event coming up. And I have 5 seconds to get off so that Kate can